Hey folks, welcome back to Ndaba Africa. This is Chris. And in a year of seemingly incomprehensible political missteps and miscalculations and utter foolishness, we have yet more. Now South Africa's wine industry in the Western Cape is embroiled in the latest political imbroglio over stupidity and nonsense. And what am I talking about specifically? Well, I'm talking about the race-based grant program that was set up for Western Cape wine farmers. That's right, but exclusively for black farmers. Now, the Cape Agency for Sustainable Integrated Development in Rural Areas, or CASIDRA, which has been around since 1989, by the way, set up a program on the 15th of December, a grant program with 8.5 million rand for black farmers and black wine brands, exclusively, no one else. In fact, if you look at the application form, you must check one of these two blocks to be eligible for it. Black-owned farms, black-owned brands. Wow. Wow. Equal treatment under the law? Hardly. So agricultural MEC, that's a member of the Executive Council, which is essentially a cabinet level position at the provincial level. But agricultural MEC Ivan Meyer withdrew the 8.5 million rand race-based wine industry COVID grant relief program on the 29th of December. Reaction was swift, coming from all quarters. All quarters. Meyer himself offered comments, and I'll address each of these comments coming up as reported by the Independent Online. Meyer's comments, and then Theo de Jager from the Southern Africa Agricultural Initiative, or SAI, said that his organization would campaign against this. And if you take a look at their website, in fact, you will see they are campaigning against it already. African Roots Wines, Vivian Klehans offered commentary, as did Seskafile Wine Services CEO, the African Farmers Association, the African National Congress, and the Economic Freedom Fighters have all stepped into the fray with commentary, and I'll discuss each of those. But what are we talking about? On the 15th of December this year, the CASIDRA, which is a state organ, by the way, it's a state activity, so financed by taxpayers, announced that they would have a wine grapes industry COVID-19 relief grant. Well, they established it on the 15th. On the 17th, in the Cape Argus newspaper, a Western Cape newspaper, they published that they would be providing 8.5 million rand of support for black farmers exclusively. Now, the title of the grant program is the Wine Grapes Industry COVID-19 Relief Grant. Sounds pretty good, huh? So the beleaguered wine industry in South Africa, which needs help, looks like they're going to get it, except that it's black-owned and black-owned. Black-owned farms, black-owned brands. Wow. Equal treatment under the law? Hardly, folks. Anyway, so let's talk a little bit about these things here. The wine industry has been in a disastrous state entirely as a consequence of the ANC's absolute cluelessness and lack of common sense when it comes to their reaction to the Wuhan coronavirus COVID-19. Back on the 27th of March, 2020, the president, Cyril Ramaphosa, illegally imposed a 30-day lockdown in the country, a very draconian lockdown, which included a ban on the sale and transport of alcohol. Now, here's the problem with that. Unlike Casa Lager, which very few people outside South Africa would bother to drink that, South African wine brands are quite popular. In fact, about half of South Africa's wine production is shipped overseas, internationally, in established wine markets where they're a reliable supplier. And people purchase their wine, has a good reputation, and you can buy it. And what did they do? They banned the transport of it. So in order to prevent the spread of COVID amongst people drinking alcohol and putting down their guard and not social distancing, they banned the transport of alcohol outside the country, thereby crippling the wine industry at a crucial time when wine had to get to market, get on boats and aircraft to fly or ship overseas. Now, it took a court case from the wine industry to get that reversed after about 10 days or so. But the damage was done. The reputation of South Africa's winemakers as a reliable source of wine was tarnished and tainted as wine supplies began to dry up in stores around the world, particularly in the United States and in Europe, where people drink South African wine. So that damage was very harmful. Now, here's the thing. South Africa's wine industry makes majority of its profit from its wine sales abroad, not from domestic grape sales or from wine. So that was very damaging. That was the first thing the ANC did. Then later, when they re-implemented alcohol restrictions, they also put the ban in place again. Then they had to quickly lift it. And now we're into yet another nonsensical lockdown until January 15th of 2021. And they said the sale, transport of alcohol is banned. They did say exceptions, President Ramaphosa, but it seems unclear. This feckless stupidity, utter moronic policy is crippling one of the most important economic sectors in South Africa, and also a sector which, by the way, has seen tremendous transformation. That, of course, is the code word, the code language for black economic empowerment. And so what do we mean by that? Well, large numbers of black South Africans have been entering the wine industry, an industry they never were in the past with no experience, entering it and doing it quite successfully, in fact. But let's talk a little bit about that. Some of the comments here from these folks in here. So let's say the first one I'm going to discuss here was what Ivan Meyer had to say. That's the MEC, Agriculture MEC for the Western Cape, a member of the Democratic Alliance, by the way. Yeah. So Meyer said, this conflicts with the policy position of the DA-run provincial government. I've instructed Casidra to withdraw the advertisement and apologize to farmers in the agricultural sector in the Western Cape. I, too, apologize for the publication of the advert by Casidra. Well, an apology isn't really going to cut it here. It's not going to cut it. People are angry, and rightly so, on both sides. Both sides have justification to be angry, and we'll talk about that. Wow. So Theo Diaga, as I mentioned, from SAAI, Southern Africa Agricultural Initiative, had the following to say. Such a campaign against this grant program, such a campaign could include legal action, the collection of 1 million signatures, political pressure inside and outside of Parliament, public questions, an awareness program, as well as an overseas campaign. Well, okay, good luck on that. 1 million signatures. People can't get 1 million signatures for Cape secession. I doubt you're going to get 1 million signatures in South Africa complaining about this program. Good luck to you, Mr. Diager. Maybe we can get you on the program and talk about it. Meanwhile, Sesfikile Wine Services, one of the more successful black-owned vineyards in South Africa, its CEO, that's Nondumiso Pakisha, said the department is contradicting itself. The department has marketing support for black-owned businesses, so racially based support is not new. Okay, that doesn't make it morally correct. So what you're telling us is you're admitting, Ms. Pikasha, that the department has already been racist in its policies. It has been racial in its policies. Well, its past transgressions don't make this acceptable. Also, this is a rather successful vineyard. To see them complaining about not getting handouts is interesting. Now, she says the withdrawal of the offer is hurtful and a sad state of affairs. Women and black farmers are supposed to be a priority. The playing fields are not even close to being level with white farmers. Why are women and black people supposed to be a priority? In whose eyes? Why are white people supposed to be a priority, or men? Why is anybody a priority? What has someone done to deserve that? Now, of course, we're going to hear about historical injustices, but we're talking about 3 decades after the end of apartheid, in which a majority rule has been in place in South Africa, and race-based legislation has been in place to discriminate against minorities. So, supposed to be a priority? Well, we disagree on that one, ma'am. African Roots Wine's chief executive, Vivian Kleinhens, said, now it's obvious that they don't care about black people and economic inclusion. We struggle because they work against us. They have no idea how hard it is to build a business without finances. Banks are not interested in financing us, and we are not fourth-generation businesses. Okay. So the fact that they withdrew a race-based, stupid program means that they, whomever they is, presumably the leadership of the Western Cape, don't care about black people or economic inclusion, really. You struggle because they work against you. How exactly have they worked against you? How? How has the agricultural department of the Western Cape worked against women and black farmers in the Western Cape? Please explain that. This is just outlandish statements with no comments, no offers of information whatsoever here. Banks are not interested in financing us. Well, that may very well be true, but there are state-owned banks, and if they had been mismanaged by the African National Congress, then there would be funding available to non-traditional wine growers, wouldn't there? Wouldn't there? So you need to look to the African National Congress for destroying the financing sector for this industry. 3 black farmers unions, the African Farmers Association, the Black Farmers Association, the National African Farmers Union, said in a joint statement, the Western Cape wine and fruit economy is 25 years into a democratic South Africa, 26, but we won't quibble, and unable to showcase black talent enjoying continued success. Well, number one, that isn't germane to the topic of withdrawing this grant program. And number 2, it's factually dishonest. Yeah, factually dishonest, folks. Yeah, do not promote the wine industry, the black wine industry. That's utter nonsense, ladies and gentlemen. If you take 5 seconds, do a Google search, you'll find the following articles about the wine industry, the black-owned wine industry in South Africa. The Wine Enthusiast has 41 black-owned vineyards in the Western Cape highlighted. The Wine Enthusiast, one of the top wine publications in the world. Wines of South Africa, which lists South African wine brands, has 60 black-owned wine brands with URLs to their websites. to take you to them. It highlights 60 black-owned vineyards. Now, the Wine Enthusiast article is from the June of this year, the 8th of June, 2020, is when the Wine Enthusiast highlighted 41 black-owned vineyards in South Africa. On the 2nd of November, Wines of South Africa 2020 listed 60. April 8th, 2017, NBC News ran a story about South Africa's first black wine producer. And of course, that's Nsiki Biala. Yeah, 2017. She's become quite famous in a number of circles because of this so-called status as the first, although I'm not really confident she was the first black wine grower, but she got that attention. On the 26th of August, 2011, Africa, South Africa, African Cape, the rise of South African winemakers. 2011. Yeah. Where's that from? The Guardian in the UK. 9 years ago. And then, of course, in April 2017, Travel Noir, which is a black travel site, highlighted 4 specific Cape black-owned vineyards. So, first off, it's not germane whether they're promoting success or not. That has nothing to do with this emergency financial grant money to deal with this black swan event and the effort to destroy South Africa's economy by the ANC, this program. It's not germane to promotion of black-owned businesses. And it's also untrue. As I've just listed here, a short search will turn up endless articles promoting the Cape black wine industry. So, utter nonsense. Well, ladies and gentlemen, here's the thing. A number of people watch my videos and they'll make unfounded claims that, whoa, no solutions, just complaints. Well, for those who haven't watched this much of the video and don't pay attention, I didn't put the solutions up front because if you're too lazy and you just want to comment and have a grievance, well, that's your problem. If you've stuck to this video this long, now 12 minutes into it, and you're here for solutions, I'm going to offer some solutions. Number one, the Democratic Alliance, which rules the Western Cape and is responsible for Casidra and this boneheaded race-based policy, needs to not only apologize, but if the funds are there, to re-implement this program. That's right. Re-implement this program. The wine industry is beleaguered because of the ANC's stupidity. Yeah, absolutely right. Not because of COVID, but because of ANC's stupidity. That's right. So this program is very necessary for small-scale growers in the Western Cape. But you don't create a program, and here's your solutions, folks. Number one, re-implement the program. Number two, 8.5 million rand. That's a joke. That's not going to be enough. 8.5 million. I've already mentioned 60 black-owned vineyards. I don't know that they're all small. I don't even know the revenue of these vineyards. Some are small, some are larger. So maybe not all 60 qualify, and that's not all of them. That's just a list of 60. There's more than that. So 8.5 million divided by 100 or 200, whatever the number is not a lot of money. It isn't going to help out these small-scale farmers, these vineyards. So increase the amount. Even though I'm a small government person, increase the amount of money. Take a closer look. I don't know what the actual figure should be. Maybe it's 10 million, maybe it's 20 million, maybe it's 30 million rand. But take a look at it to help out this industry, number one. Number two, ensure that the stupidity of ANC alcohol sale bans does not affect the transport and export of South African wine, number two. And number three, the next thing to do is re-implement this program. And number four, implement it based on revenue loss and firm size. That's how you do it. Now, the reality, if we're honest, is that the majority of people who would be beneficiaries under this scheme, if it's done in that fashion, will likely be recent new vineyards, mostly black-owned. But how is it fair for an aspiring young colored vineyard to be discriminated against, or a white vineyard, someone who goes and starts their own vineyard, and is small and has been crippled by this nonsense? How is it fair to discriminate against them based on their skin pigmentation? That's racism. It's moronic and stupid. 26 years after the end of apartheid, what the hell is this nonsense? Why is it that South African politicians from all parties are constantly obsessed on giving or taking from South Africans based on their skin color? Stop it. Stop your stupidity. To offer this money exclusively to black farmers was racist and a racial policy. To pull it back is unfair because you realize you stepped on it and you stepped in it. That's wrong. For the SAAI that's opposed to this, I understand your opposition, but a campaign against this is not wise. A smarter move on your part would be to encourage the Democratic Alliance Agriculture Department to get its act together and get this program out there to benefit small-scale farmers. Otherwise, you leave yourself open to claims that you only care about white South Africans. And people can make a legitimate basis for that if you complain just because only black South Africans got this. My complaint on this, my previous video on this, my analysis on this had nothing to do with the fact that one group was one thing, one group was another. The issue was that South Africans weren't being treated fairly based on their immutable characteristic of skin pigmentation, which you have no control over. I don't pick my skin color. You don't pick your skin color. Whether you're white, brown, black, whatever you are. This is what nature left you with. And you should not be judged or discriminated for or against based on skin color. Discriminating in favor of someone based on their skin color is as wrong as discriminating against them. And that's the bottom line, folks. So here you see the Western Cape wine industry embroiled in controversy once again. The DA-led, Democratic Alliance-led government of the Western Cape making a boneheaded move in having this program and then a dumber move in canceling it. They should have apologized profusely, held a massive press conference in which they said that they would extend this program to people based on revenue loss and firm size. And there you go, folks. Anyway, if you're not a subscriber to Chris White Africa, hey, take a moment, become a subscriber. We cover lots of things, not just the wine industry, but aviation, agriculture, history, culture, politics, the macadamia nut industry, take your pick, lots of things all around Africa, but with a special focus on Southern Africa. And if you want to leave a comment, you're welcome to leave a comment. Abusive comments will be deleted, or you'll be the subject of a humorous video exposing you. And finally, I ask that you smash the like button because likes drive viewership. And I want to thank you so much for your time, for your patience, and for your patronage. And folks, let's stop this politicians using differences to divide us, especially in South Africa. It's uncalled for. And 26 years after the end of apartheid, it's unacceptable. God bless.